Hello, my name is Pastor Tim Wesley, and I'd like to welcome you to another segment of 5 Minutes for Faith. I'd like to talk to you about the topic of dare to dream. Many of us have had dreams in our lives only to have those dreams shattered and killed by people that we know and trust. People that may not think that we can accomplish those things that God has already placed in our heart that we can accomplish. I want to share with you a few people in the Bible that dare to dream and that they accomplish great things, and because of those great things, we have great examples through those people of which we can follow. If we look at the book of Numbers, chapter 14, we'll see two gentlemen in particular, one by the name of Joshua and the other by the name of Caleb, as God told his people to go and take a look at the land that he promised them, flowing with milk and honey. Many of the people came back with bad reports, negative reports that really influenced the people of God in a negative way. But Joshua and Caleb, they came back and they said, sure, I'll put it in layman's terms. Even though they're big, even though they're strong over there, we can accomplish this. They believed, as we see in the book of Numbers chapter 14 verse 8, they said if the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. They dared to dream. They dared to believe that God can and will do what he says he will do. Because of that, those two gentlemen were the only two of that adult age at that time that were able to not only hear about the land, but able to occupy the land. God wants you to occupy your dream, but you have to believe that it can happen. You also have to do things that's pleasing to the Lord. I want you to understand it didn't stop there. We had people even before Joshua and Caleb, one man by the name of Joseph. Joseph, even though his brothers sold him into Egypt, even though they sold him out, he kept his focus. He kept doing the right things in life. He didn't allow his situation to dictate what was going to happen with him as far as his future was concerned. He continued to live his life. Joseph even got to a point whereby God allowed him, because he was such a dreamer, he allowed that particular thing that he had in his life become the catapult in order to get him to the next level in his life. Joseph interpreted dreams, and because of that, he interpreted dreams of the Pharaoh at the time, and Joseph rose from the jailhouse all the way to the second man in charge in that particular area. I want you to understand, as Joseph rose in ranks, Joseph could have did several things. He could have looked down on his brothers that sold him out in the first place. He could have looked and said, you know what, I'm going to treat you harshly because I can do so. But because he knew where his heart lied, he knew his reason for being, he did not do that. But we see in the book of Genesis 45, Joseph instead, he shared this truth with his brothers. He said, God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant of earth, on earth rather, to save your lives by a great deliverance. He realized that even though he was dreaming and no one believed his dreams, not even those closest to him, God believed in him. He believed in himself. He continued to move forward, and God delivered him. He also realized that even though he went through a negative situation in his life, even though he faced bad circumstances in his life, he did not let that dictate what was going to happen with him in the future. He moved forward, and because he moved forward in his life with due diligence, and because he did not hold grudges, because he was able to forgive, we have a great lesson that we can learn through our brother Joseph. I want you to understand, Joseph also said those all too famous words in Genesis 50 verse 20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. I want you to understand, you may be going through a situation or a circumstance in your life whereby it seems like someone tried to harm you. You may have had a bad relationship. You may have had negative experiences on a job in which you're no longer a part of. You may have had negative circumstances that happen in your life by the hands of people that you love and you thought loved you. But I want you to understand, don't let that stop you from moving forward with your dreams. I want you to understand, if you're living within the will of God, if you're living your life like God has told you, if you're doing things that's pleasing to God, accept those things also. I want you to understand, all the victories that you see, all the championships that are won, many cases people know that there's going to be some loss along the way, but you have to hold firm and stand firm in your beliefs. Continue to live your life righteously. Continue to live your life pure as possible. Continue to do the things that's pleasing to God, and you will see your dreams come true also. And lastly, I want to tell you about someone by the name of David. As David faced his Goliath, and we all have our Goliaths, David was faced with a lot of doubt from people, a lot of criticism from people, a lot of people that just didn't think he can do it. Even the person that was in charge of allowing him to go into battle with Goliath, even him, he looked and he said, you know what, I don't think you can do it. As we see in 1 Samuel 17, you're only a little boy. I don't think you can accomplish this. I don't think you can make it happen. But I want you to understand, David replied to Saul by saying, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him. He told about his track record. He told Saul about how God had delivered him time and time again. Remember how God had delivered you also, and continue to hold on to your dream. Continue to have hope regardless of what people think. I want you to understand, as we close this particular message, 4 things I suggest to you if you want to dare to dream and see your dreams come true. First and foremost, do what is pleasing to the Lord. Secondly, learn to ignore the doubters in your life. Thirdly, learn to forgive and see the big picture. And fourthly, remember what God has already done in your life and grow from it. Dare to dream.